she put on her favorite dress. The color of spring leaves. The color everyone wanted. Within hours, her skin was cracking. Within days, her hair was falling out in clumps. Within a month, she was dead. She wasn't poisoned by an enemy. She wasn't murdered in some scandal. She was poisoned by her own closet. If you love stories about ordinary things hiding a deadly past, subscribe now, because this channel is full of them, and this one might be the darkest yet. In 1775, a Swedish chemist named Carl Wilhelm Scheele was experimenting with copper and arsenic. What he created was a green pigment so vivid, so unlike anything nature could produce naturally, that it looked almost unreal. He called it Scheele's green. Before this discovery, green dye was notoriously difficult to make. Natural greens faded fast. They turned dull in candlelight. They simply weren't vibrant enough for the extravagant fashion of the era. Scheele's green solved all of that. It was brilliant. It was stable. It held its color under gaslight, which was becoming the new standard in wealthy homes and theaters. Within a few decades, this shade of green was everywhere. It colored ball gowns worn by the aristocracy. It colored wallpaper hung in nurseries. It colored artificial flowers pinned into hats, gloves dyed to match, even children's toys and candy wrappers. If something needed to be green in the Victorian era, there was a good chance it contained copper arsenite, a compound built from arsenic. Nobody thought twice about it. Arsenic wasn't yet understood the way we understand it today. It had no smell, no taste, and in small amounts it didn't kill instantly. It built up slowly, silently in the body. And in an era obsessed with beauty and status, the shade of green was a symbol of wealth. If you could afford it, you wore it. Before a single dress was ever worn, the danger started long before that in the factories where the fabric and flowers were made. Artificial flower makers, mostly young working class women, handled arsenic-laced green dye for up to 12 hours a day. They dusted the pigment onto silk and paper petals by hand, breathing in the fine green powder constantly. Their skin turned a sickly shade, their fingernails developed strange green tints, sores opened on their hands and faces, some began losing their hair. One case that shocked London was a young flower maker named Matilda Scheurer. Newspapers at the time described her final days in disturbing detail. Convulsions, vomiting a green-tinted substance. The whites of her eyes reportedly discolored. She died at just 19 years old. Her case wasn't isolated. Doctors and journalists began documenting similar patterns among factory workers across the city. Chronic exposure that slowly ate away at their health while the public wore the finished product without a second thought. The tragedy is that the women dying to produce this beauty were invisible to the women wearing it. The factory floor and the ballroom were two different worlds. Connected only by a color nobody yet understood was lethal. For the wealthy women who wore Scheele's green dresses, the danger was slower. But it was still there. Arsenic doesn't need to be swallowed to be dangerous. Worn against warm, sweating skin for hours during a ball or dinner party, the compound could be absorbed slowly through contact, or released as fine dust with every movement of the fabric. Some historical accounts describe women experiencing skin irritation, rashes, and unexplained illness after wearing heavily dyed green garments repeatedly. There's also a chilling detail from the era. Some green dresses were reported to have a faint, sweet, almost metallic smell. One some Victorians associated uneasily with the powder used in the dye. In poorly ventilated ballrooms lit by gas lamps, that dust could linger in the air, breathed in by everyone nearby, not just the wearer. Wallpaper carried the same risk, arguably at greater scale. Homes decorated with arsenic green wallpaper could release toxic dust as the paper aged, flaked, or grew damp, filling bedrooms and nurseries with a slow, invisible hazard. Children, spending the most time in these rooms, were especially vulnerable. What makes this so unsettling isn't just that people got sick. It's that for years, they didn't connect the illness to the beauty sitting right in front of them. It took disturbingly long for the public to connect the dots.